What's up guys, NepentheZ here and welcome back to another FC26 video where today we're going to be watching a podcast or a stream from, a friend of the channel, The Foot Accountant. Really enjoy his content and what he offers to this game. And he is talking with the Foot Economist, the accountant and the economist, hey? And the Foot Economist, for those of you that don't know, used to be a content creator for FIFA. He actually got employed by EA and now works obviously in the Ultimate Team setup. And honestly, with the Foot Accountant, wouldn't be surprised if that's a pathway for him in the future as well. But he got flown out to Canada for the FC26 event that I think Bateson, Lasty, a few others are there. But he had a video today. He streamed today for an hour with the Foot Economist. We are going to watch that here today. So this is going to be a long video because I'm going to be reacting to it as it comes. This, be prepared for this to be kind of like maybe even a 2-hour video. I'm watching his stream on 1.25 speed. Depending on how quick they're talking and how easy it is to listen to, I might bump it up to 1.5 speed. But there is a lot of exciting stuff in here. I caught like a little 10-minute snippet in between my own recordings and playing the game and stuff and watching the England ladies today, or maybe yesterday by the time you're watching this. But without further ado, let's just listen to what has to be said here and make sure to go and check out the Foot Accountant. I will leave all of his connections down below so that you can go and watch his content if you so choose to. Let's get into it.
Good evening.
Good evening. We're going to just
David, stream started off.
skip straight to where the Foot Accountant and the Foot Economist comes in, because that's what we want to listen to ultimately.
Welcome in, the Foot Economist. Welcome in, everybody.
Let me put it at 1.5.
Let's go.
What's up, gang? How you doing?
Let's go. All right. So I was just telling them that I was going to check the content to start things off.
Okay.
Go through the SBCs.
Sure.
And let me just move this forward so we can both get in here. But
Yeah.
They were spamming one that it sounded okay. So
Okay,
I think they're excited to see you.
Perfect. I suppose we're gonna start about FC25 stuff first.
Aspas, okay?
I bet he has to hide the
Another.
I bet he has to hide the old Pale Tools extension, you know.
5 striker with Cam. He has got power shot, dead ball, tiki taka plus, incisive, technical tricks to press proven, quick step, finesse, low driven. Dub. And he's only what, one squad, 88 with a Spanish player. Okay, so that's a pretty cheap.
Easy to do, but
about like all these player SBCs.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the fun things about Funnies is that the accessibility of like top-end content kind of goes to the roof. That's kind of like one of the things that is kind of like the hook, if you will, of Funnies. One of the ways that we look to deliver that obviously is through SBCs and through evolutions and like the season ladder as well. So that's why you see like pretty top-tier SBCs being released on the regular.
Like the Jab Stam.
Yeah, Stam is.
I presume we will get to the FC26 stuff, but something like Aspas or Alvaro, there's a few others. They're not top tier. Like, they are so poor compared to where the game cycle is.
Definitely one of them that'll be around for a while. Well, a while. There's not much time left in FC25.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you'll see us continue to lead into this space in terms of like the power of the items and the accessibility, like the price.
Also, can I just point out, I'm very disappointed in the Foot Accountant for not having completed so many of these. Fodder's free at the moment. Go and get them done.
The squad that we require for the player SBCs that we release in the space up until the end of Funnies.
Okay. All right, they're telling me to check Evo. So I know there's probably another SBC today, but let me go to Evolutions and check this out. Okay, that's new. The Crossroads 1 and 2. Passing up to 94, it's for a center attacking mid. It gives max 96 pace, max 98 positioning.
I kind of want
Going to be to him there. 97, I think it's what it was.
I kind of want to be here for the FC26 stuff.
Obviously, I think one of the things that we did see a ton of success with was, or at least in terms of the community feedback around it, was the sort of like choose your own adventure kind of.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Admittedly, they were a bit confusing. Just the different screens that we have to try and communicate that kind of stuff is not exactly where we want it, right? So like the sort of player picks and the fact that you could put the Evo into a thing that would actually lock it out of a future step of the Evo.
Yeah.
We know that.
So this is one of the things that bothers me the most with EA, right? Like, and I guess we're going to get to the FC26 stuff eventually. But as you're saying there, they found it difficult to communicate these things. Do you know you have an army of people that play this game and make content on this game on TikTok, on X, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitch, on every social media platform, maybe not Facebook? Talk to them. Like, obviously, it probably won't be me. Talk to them. Be like, hey, this Evo's coming. Here's the thing that we're struggling to communicate. Can you please communicate this with your audience so it gets more widespread? It's such a simple fix.
was not ideal. And I think one of the things that you'll see some stuff coming out in early FC 26 that allows to like better communicate sort of like the actual evos and what they can be changed into and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But we sort of know that that's a known problem space, if you will. But yeah, I think these kinds of like build your own, create your own path kind of evos are definitely something that we're looking to sort of build.
I can't remember the promo. Immortal, I think. Let's play a pick. Okay. Is this the one that do it one time every 3 days? Okay. So it's more of an elite pick than the 93 plus.
Right.
And that's why it's limited a couple times now.
I am kind of here for the SD26 stuff.
Can just be like coded to be higher.
As you can see, this is the first time I've watched this. I was hoping it was a whole hour of talking about FC26.
Timeout type of thing.
I think like
In place.
Oh, hold on.
Not allow people to manipulate the game. And at this stage, when we're opening so many more packs, is that something that can just be like coded to be higher? So it's like next year when footies rolls around, we can.
I was talking about the SBC
more packs
bans.
per day than we can now before getting like a timeout type of thing.
I think like I can't get too much into it,
Okay.
but like heard, and it's something that we're looking into.
Okay,
Like I like acknowledge that that's super frustrating experience. Like getting into
So EA over the last 10 plus years have gone out of their way to pretend this game is perfect. They refuse to accept issues. They always say, we're sorry, you had a problem with the game, we're looking to fix it. They never say, we made a mistake, we made an error, or we know something's wrong and we're trying to fix it. This new trailer has definitely been great for that. They have taken full responsibility. They are saying, hey, we hear you. We hear there are some problems. And to hear the foot economist here today say, yeah, we hear you. Like, we know that that's like something that's a problem. First of all, that's great to hear it here. Just tweet it. Just tweet it. Just say, hey guys, we hear you about like the SBC bans. We're actively looking into it. It's not as simple as a fix as you might think it is, but we are aware. That will give so much goodwill to the community. It's crazy. Just communicate with us more. And I'm saying that in a way of complaining. I can hear my tone because I've been frustrated, right? Over the last God knows how many years. I've been frustrated that these things that are so blindly obvious to people are being ignored like they don't exist. And it takes the foot economist, Jamie, to say something. And it shouldn't wind me up. I should be sitting here going, oh man, that's so nice that he's finally like addressing the fact, or, you know, he's obviously an EA employee. He speaks on behalf of EA in this regard. That's so nice that he's speaking about something that we have a problem with, because maybe that is the initiation of change going forwards. But I guess it's in me to just be like, man, why now? Why not before? But anyway, that's nice to hear. That is nice to hear.
the details around like why the limit's set the way it is and how we're going to change it and that kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
probably not something for just this
Yeah.
venue, if you will. But
Yeah,
yeah, heard that it's a challenge space.
It's heard. Perfect. Beautiful. We love that.
Quite a few.
I'm just random asking someone. You got here. I was showing my transfer list, and I bought some Julia Gwynns before she got upgraded.
Yeah.
She went up. She's actually down a little bit now, so that one was a little unfortunate, but it's all good. Speaking of SBCs, again, I'll just go full camp for this since we're probably just gonna keep talking.
Yes, this is what we want. This is where we're at.
Things that
Yes.
You added to like the squad builder this year. Were
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like that makes building SBCs on the app and in game a lot easier.
100%.
But like I'm sure you've heard of Pale Tools and like the other extensions.
Of course.
I know those are like against the rules. So are those things that you see the community enjoying, even though they're against rules?
Yeah.
Like, is that how you also get feedback of wanting to add features to the web app? Like, I guess what's your take on
Yeah,
rules?
it's a good question. I think like if you think back to like when SBCs were first made, they were meant to be sort of this like, you know, Wordle crossword puzzle. Like
challenge.
you get in and it's sort of this like interesting.
Oh, they were
challenge to
hard.
solve, and
Oh.
you have to solve this like chemistry.
For those of you that weren't in this game when SBCs first came in, SBCs were hard. Even marquee matchups, like obviously views in the community typically have just dropped across the board anyway, post-COVID and post-TikTok. But back in like FIFA 16, is that when SBCs came? Maybe FIFA 17. My marquee matchup videos, guys, they would get 200, 300, 400,000 views because people could not figure out how to complete the puzzle. They genuinely were a squad building challenge. Now it is just a means to an end. It has significantly derailed from what it was introduced to be. A lot of that came off the back of chemistry changing and the chemistry system in general changing. But it used to be hard, and now it's almost like it's just like it's botherum. Like it's now like a nuisance to do them. It's like, oh god, I have to go and put an 89 squad in. Oh. Whereas before it'd be like, right, what do I need? I need to do all of these things. Okay, what do I need? I wonder if that comes back. It probably won't. But anyway, a little bit of history there. I'm waffling. Let's carry on.
Equation, right?
Yeah.
Wordle crossword puzzle. Like
challenge.
you get in and it's sort of this like interesting challenge to solve because you have to solve this like chemistry equation, right? And they've obviously like evolved tremendously since then to be essentially like the game's dusting system, right? Like that's how you recycle stuff. And that the design around how you actually interact with that system hasn't evolved with the way that the use case for SBCs has evolved alongside.
Correct.
And so in FC25, you did see us start to roll out some of those changes to the squad builder and sort of like helping players try and move through it faster. Pale tools was certainly an inspiration and other mechanisms like it. But you will see us continue to lean into that.
We don't use pale tools.
We'll save the details for later about what that actually means, but you will see us continue to lean into that space. We don't think it's fun to have this sort of like awkward, maybe friction-filled experience around like menu grinding. We do think that there's some value in there being like a skill to menu grinding and what exactly that.
And that's the difference. That's perfect, right? One of the things that I used to do that used to get so many views was like bronze pack method because it was a skill. I know it isn't now, but it used to be a skill to know who to sell, what to sell, when to sell, how many bronze packs to open, how valuable a 400 coin bronze pack was versus a 750 coin bronze pack or a silver pack, for example, because of the kits and badges that were extinct. It used to be something that was an edge where I was like, yeah, okay, I'm sitting there, I've opened bronze packs for 2 hours, but hey, guess what? I've made 500,000 coins. What have you done in that 2 hours? Now it's like there's no skill. And it is like I said before, a nuisance. And it's really, again, I can't express this enough, guys, because I know we've had years of EA giving the marketing mumbo jumbo of innovation. And I can't remember what they said last year where they was like constantly saying the same phrase that just meant nothing to anyone. This is real. This is like, yeah, we know what Pale Tools is. We like that. We're going to use that as inspiration to build what we've got going on. We know that the menu grinding right now, what was the terminology he used?
To have this sort of like awkward, maybe friction-filled experience around like...
Yeah, friction-filled experience. What we want from it is to enjoy it and to engage with it in a positive sense. Not to be like, oh, God, I've got to go on and grind for 45 minutes the exchange upgrades because I want to get that end pack. It should be fun, challenging, engaging, and creative. It shouldn't be monotonous, boring, painful, and time-consuming.
Menu grinding. We do think that there's some value in there being like a skill to menu grinding and what exactly that continues to look like in the future. Like we want to make sure that's still there.
Love that's coming.
But sort of the fact that one of the other problems that we want to try and think about too is that, and this maybe it's not as relevant to some of the folks on this stream who are probably going to skew quite core, but like SPCs just in general a pretty intimidating experience right now to like a new player, right? Like you come in, you're like, all right,
it's a lot.
I've got to get these players, and a lot of these players are like some of the best players in my squad if you're like a newer player, right? So like, does this exchange make sense for me? I don't even know what this like 95 plus pack is going to actually give me. And so anyway, we're looking for ways to try and improve the experience for both like the menu grinders that are like doing like hundreds, thousands of SPCs a year, and then also folks that are sort of a little bit more casual.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that, since we're so deep and involved in the inner workings of the core player base, that's all we think about, and we don't see the broader picture of people who are logging on for the first time. I'm trying to think back to when I played for the first time and what I thought of SBCs. I guess I was already kind of...
I love them. I love them.
It was easier to understand.
You were just one. What's the Nations
Nations League?
The, like,
yeah.
Foundation SBC.
Oh, the challenge. I still haven't because I haven't even completed.
You haven't done them yet. You did that for the first time. You're like, I'm hooked.
Yeah, like around the world and stuff.
Yeah,
like
around
that.
the world. Yeah. Wait, guys, the around the world when it first came out. In fact, let me bring it up. Right, let me bring it up. I'm going to show you guys something. I'm going to go to my main channel on YouTube and go to my most popular videos. And where is it? How far down it is an SBC in terms of a main channel video. I honestly thought it was higher than this. I thought it was like sort of top 10. Some of my other videos must have picked up some views over the last little while. But my League and Nation hybrid tutorial, there it is. Nearly 600,000 views. Because I can't explain to you how difficult this was and how much it changed the market for players. I'm on a different account. I have ads. How much it changed the market. You were getting like 79, 80, 81 rated like Brazilians from an off league or Spaniards from an off league. Were extinct to like 20,000 coins, 30,000 coins. It was insane. Draft was so good back then because you play a draft, even if you lost in the first round and get a gold pack, you open your couple of gold packs, you get like an 81 rated Brazilian from the Chinese league. He's 25,000 coins. Like, it was great.
Yeah, the one that sends like the random Brazilian player to the moon like every year.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that.
Speaking of other things, FC25, I think the power curve, I know we talked about this a little bit yesterday too, but like, in terms of the hardcore user base, which again, a lot of these guys are here that are watching, like, it felt like it started really fast. Like we got out of gold cards real quick, and then we got to Team of the Year, and we got Team of the Year cards and Team of the Year Bale SBC and Team of the Year Blueprint Evo, and it was like, wow, this is insane. But then it just kind of made everything after that taper off, and it didn't feel as worth it. So, like, what was the feedback that you got for that, and how does that?
How do you fix it
to help improve that a little bit?
Yeah,
because I know it's got to be a crazy way to calculate it throughout the whole year. So many decisions with all the promos and cards. So
yeah, no, it's a really good question. I'm glad we're getting into this one because there's a lot to talk about here, and I know like this group is probably.
I'm gonna let it just play in a second, right? But there's things I have to say that it's so validating to see Jamie so passionate about this, because I know that we think EA are this like big bad corp, right? And maybe EA are. But I think people really forget very regularly, and it's something that I've not even been trying to speak on, something I've spoke on a lot over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years since I've actually got to know EA employees and become friends with a lot of the employees, some that have left, some that are still there. The people that work for EA Sports on Ultimate Team love this game and want the best for this game. They are not always able to give the best to this game because of the people that are levels above them. The CEOs, the CFOs, the high level people at EA that look at them and say, well, how much money does it make us? They're the people you should direct your like negativity towards, because people like Jamie and people like, Chuboy when he used to work there, or Zaro when he used to work there, or the number of people that have been and gone over the years. These guys love this game and love their job and want the best for it. And you can see he's almost giddy to talk about some like, oh, this thing that you hated. Yeah, here, let me talk to you about this. How crazy is that?
With like the perfect.
So many decisions with all the promos and cards. So.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. I'm glad we're getting into this one because there's a lot to talk about here. And I know like this group is probably like the perfect, like your audience is the perfect audience to talk about this kind of stuff. I think so. Generally speaking, just kind of like high level, we heard the feedback this year around like the power curve moving too quickly. I think there's a couple times of the year in particular, as you mentioned, sort of at the beginning of the year, and then sort of like team of the year until like team of the season time. Yeah, were 2 periods of the year where we moved really quickly. And I think as we head into FC 26, we are going to be making a concerted effort to slow things down. But I do want to get into sort of like what it actually means to slow things down.
Yeah, sure.
And before I do that, though, I want to talk about sort of like what are we actually trying to like achieve when we like say slow it down. And I think there's maybe sort of 2 example problem spaces or like kind of like experiences that I would like cite. The first is that and I feel this probably just as much as you guys, like when you buy a player item or you like you pack a player item or you earn a player item for whatever it is, right? Get it from an SBC, premium pass, standard seasonal ladder. It's frustrating when that is like your new best striker and then it like stays your new best striker for like a week, right? And then like the next
that's long.
There's something
that
a day,
like, 2 days,
just as good if not better, and that's frustrating. You don't get to like enjoy sort of the investment of the time that you spend to like
absolutely.
So with that in mind, we want to find ways that we can extend out the life, if you will, of some of the items. That's kind of the one of the things we're looking to do. The other piece is that just directionally, it's become a really like risky value proposition or sort of like investment, if you will, to like buy an item off the transfer market, especially if they're an expensive item, and then hold that for an extended period.
Again, I was going to say I won't keep stopping it. I will keep stopping it because this is me. This is my bread and butter, man. Like I love this side of the game. I love talking about my experience on the game. And there's 2 players specifically that I have lost my shirt on like crazy. So Kai Havertz, let's go to all time. I bought him about here. I just got enough coins. On the 1st of November, he was 600,000 coins. On the 6th of November, he was 600,000 coins. On the 7th and 8th of November, he's down to 420k. And then barely a couple of weeks later, he's down under 200,000 coins. I lost my shirt. And I thought, oh, he's about to get upgraded. This is great. Surely but the game had moved on so far from this upgrade to this upgrade and this upgrade to this upgrade. And I think an SBC Havertz came out. Nope. An Evo came out that gold Kai Havertz became elite in, and it crashed his price massively. I lost my shirt on him. The other player that I lost my shirt on was this 89 FC Pro Gabriel Jesus. And when we look at his all-time price, I bought him around here. Yeah, high, peak. Maybe here. I didn't quite buy him in. I think I bought him in like the low 500s. And then out of nowhere, look at this. 16th of December, 576. 18th of December, 338. He got obliterated. And one of the things that significantly changes the price points of this kind of player is SBCs and evolutions. I think I can't actually remember what it was. I was going to say I thought it was a Team of the Year Evo, but that's too early for Team of the Year Evo. I don't know if this was maybe it's even too late for Black Friday. I don't know what came out for Gabriel Jesus that caused that card to absolutely plummet, but he got obliterated, and I lost my shirt, and I'm like, damn man, like I've lost like hundreds of thousands of coins, and then the last player that I did it on was Kelly Smith's 91. Yeah, 91, the one, yeah, one finesse shot plus. Now this card, right? I bought her about here. 700,000 coins. She was going up, 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 up. I sold her about here at 820 or so because I was like, oh, okay, I know what's going on here. I'm going to end up losing so many coins on this card if I don't sell her now because this was a live card, right? And so I ended up selling her at 821. She peaked, went up over 1 million. I eventually bought her back again at about 800,000 coins. And then, like, this is an all right trend, to be fair. But I bought her around here again. And just a couple days later, he's 200,000-300,000 coins cheaper. And it's devastating, man. It's painful because it's really, really easy to lose 300,000 or 400,000 coins on a player. It's really, really hard to make 300,000 or 400,000 coins in this time of the game. It's not so hard as the game develops and goes on, but it is really hard, like in those early stages, to manage your coins. To have a player just get deleted off the game because of an SBC and evolution, or you know, a season like that season pass Van Dijk that we got. It crashed team of the season Van Dijk's price. You could just see, like, let's look at the last 1 month. Oh, look at that, Van Dijk's 2 million coins. Then there was rumors about him coming out as a footies card. Then he came out as a footies card. And now he's 300,000 coins. 1.7 million coins deleted in 3 weeks. It's insane. And it pushes people away because they feel robbed. They genuinely feel robbed.
And that's like kind of frustrating. Like you see a lot of people, like they basically just have like untradeable squads, or a lot of people just run untradeable squads because they just don't want to worry about. Yeah, they just don't want to worry about the fact that like, hey, like this item might just like collapse in price tomorrow. And so with that in mind, those are kind of like the two things that we're taking back and kind of going like, all right, well, we want people to feel like confident engaging in the transfer market, buying items, putting them into their squads, and we also want to have like just basically allow players to like enjoy sort of the items that they go and earn, and just kind of like get used to them, sort of grow affinity with them, etc. So anyway, with that in mind, we're going to be looking to slow down the power curve. There's a couple things that I would you could expect to happen as a result. The first is that like the lifespan, if you will, of some of the like base content at the beginning of the year is hopefully going to extend. Awesome. So you're looking at like old items sticking around for a little bit longer. Base
Beautiful.
We
love that.
Same thing with the icons. The other piece is that especially as we get into sort of like a sort of like a Black Friday through holiday window, and then like team of the year into team of the season, that kind of window, you can expect like the pace at which we're going to like upgrade the stats of the players in those campaigns is probably going to come down a bit as well. Okay. Now exactly what that looks like is still to be confirmed, but you can kind of think of it as the ways that we're actually going to like mechanically do that, if you will. And this is something that like obviously we're going to need to stay close with folks like yourself and the community to make sure that like we're doing this in a way that like feels good for everybody. Is that you can expect things like the rewards that you get for objectives or game modes or
way less,
or maybe the power of the item for revolutions are going to come down, right? Like so to make
it's so important. It like I know everyone plays this game for rewards. In fact, people don't even play this game for rewards. They play this game they like hate this game to get rewards. People are like, oh well, let's do golden goal so that we can get a 85 by 10. Let's get through this gameplay as quick as we possibly can to get this 83 by 5. Right? Oh, I don't care about playing it. I just want the pack. The best thing they can do is reduce the rewards, but so long as it gets reduced across the board holistically in a balanced manner to prolong the power curve, it won't feel like the rewards have been reduced. However, if all of a sudden we're in a situation where, Hullet is 10 million coins and you're able to make about 30k a week, all of a sudden it's going to be like, well, this is ridiculous, right? It has to all come down to prolong the power curve, and I hope they've got that balance right, but this sounds really interesting. I like this.
Make sure that we can actually slow things down. We have to sort of like decrease sort of the accessibility, if you will, of some of that content.
Absolutely.
But the important point there is that it's not going to come down, and it's going to come down for everybody, right? It's like there's kind of the mantra of like, everybody's rich, nobody's rich kind of thing. Everybody has like
exactly.
You have to like keep the treadmill spinning really fast in order for that to be a thing. So basically, like that's kind of what you can expect. Sort of that launches that like the overall sort of like mode rewards and some of the other things that you can earn are going to come down at least compared to last year, and that'll allow us to sort of like slow things down.
Okay.
Perfect.
You know, as I said, that's going to be one that we expect, like the actual sort of delivery of that one, and that, you know, the tuning around that, and sort of the rewards that we set up. It's going to be important that we try and get that one right, and continue to listen to community feedback around that one, and we'll adjust if folks don't like it, of course. But yeah, that's part of what we're hoping to use as sort of the mechanism to sort of, as I said, slow down the power.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that brings up a couple things to mind for me. Like, if you think about slowing down, upgrading cards, but still wanting to release a lot of content, that's got to be a tough calculation of how do we still release engaging content that feels interesting, that people are interested in, without, you know, making it so much better that it's boosting the curve that much. So
exactly. Maybe if I could add one more thing too there, because I just saw some things in the chat. Like, the idea here too is that as we slow things down, we want to make it, the idea here is to make it so that we don't lose some of the sort of directional gains, if you will, that we've made in like accessibility of content. Like if you were to go back to, I don't know, FIFA 18, you know, the gap between folks that have a lot of time to play the game and don't have a lot of time to play the game, or folks that, like, you know, have you decide to spend money in the game and don't decide to spend money in the game, was much larger than it is today.
I don't know what he's about to talk about here. I don't mind that. I like the fact that if I spend a lot of time on the game, I feel rewarded for it. And I hope that's the way he's leaning into. I hope he's not about to say, we want that to kind of feel a bit more balanced, where if you don't spend a lot of time on the game, or you don't spend a lot of money on the game, you still don't feel like you're like miles behind. I think there should be a bigger discrepancy. If you don't play the game and you don't spend money on the game, and so therefore you don't have the content, so what? Play the game. I'm not going to say spend money on the game, mind you, but obviously some people, their time is more important than their money. But if you can't afford the time or the money on the game to get the content in the game, so what? There are other games, there are other game modes, there are other ways to play the game, free to play. You know, you've got the rags to riches RTGs, like what I do, the poor man RTGs. Like, there are ways to get the best out of the game at every single level. And I really hope he's not about to say, oh, even if you can't spend time or money on the game, you're going to have as much as people that can. Because that will, you know, that goes back to that whole, if everybody's rich, nobody's rich thing. If everybody can get everything at the same degree, no matter how much time you spend, how much money you spend, or how good you are at the game, then then like, what's the incentive to spend time or money or get good at the game?
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I do know that that's a contentious point, and people will disagree with me, but that's my opinion on it.
And so even though we were talking to folks that like if you were to go back to, I don't know, FIFA 18, you know, the gap between folks that have a lot of time to play the game and don't have a lot of time to play the game, or folks that, like, you know, have you decide to spend money in the game and don't decide to spend money in the game, was much larger than it is today.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so even though we were talking about taking down sort of like the, you know, the amount of rewards that you get in like any given game mode, or for evolutions, or through SBCs, or, you know, whatever it is, right? What we do still want to maintain though is like the fact that if you are just a Road to Glory player and you're not going to spend any money, you can compete with folks that do decide to spend money.
Sure.
So that's going to be something I just want to make sure that that's clear. It's
Time.
About that, like the goal
Money.
is not like a result of this. We will have failed if the result of this is that it becomes more pay to win, right? Like that's definitely not the direction that we want to go. It's meant to just sort of calibrate everybody down sort of at the same rate, so that the speed of things can sort of just slow down. People can enjoy the items that they have for a little bit longer.
Yeah. Speaking of the season pass, that's obviously been a huge thing in 25, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday, how it's really seems so crazy that some of the SBCs and EVOs almost feel like they fall behind a little bit. So starting at the beginning of 26, like obviously for a lot of us who pre-ordered the game, we're going to get that premium pass straight away.
Right.
Is that one of the areas where you feel like you can help somebody who grinds the game more, is able to buy the pass with either points or coins, and not spend big in the store? That's a place where they can keep up, because the cards in the premium pass are like with the power curve, or maybe even moving up as the power curve moves up.
Yeah, it's a good question. I would think just like high level, we want the premium pass to be, you know, one of the places to spend either coins on any sort of offer, or FC points on any sort of offer. So if you choose to engage in that, like our goal is to make that to be like the no-brainer purchase, right?
Sure.
Exactly the tuning of that and sort of what that looks like in FC 26, obviously, still to be confirmed. And just as I was just saying there around sort of like the rewards kind of being calibrated down.
The pass will also
be
be
standard pass are going to be kind of calibrated down as well to sort of like match that, right? So it's not our intention here is that it's not sort of, we're not trying to have like only some of the ships sink and some of them stay at their current level kind of thing. It's important that everything gets calibrated down at the same time. But we've seen obviously like super positive feedback, not just with the premium pass in FC 25, just like the season ladder in general. People talking about how that's something that they enjoy, working towards the SP that they can use to unlock the
We've
levels.
got problems, but
I was literally just talking about that today, and we've been talking about it a lot since the premiums came out, like the time it takes to get to the end. That's a whole calculation in itself, because there's other modes that you can play to grind, and there's store packs that you can get a little bit. So yeah, that's probably, I'm sure, a part of the whole figuring out everything and how it works. A couple other questions before I ask a couple things about 26 specifically, and some of the little bits of info that we've already got out. How much influence does the feedback, since this year is all about, like, the club is yours behind us on the wall, obviously that's gone into a lot of the gameplay. We saw today the gameplay trailer. We've been playing the game a little bit. I'm sure you play the game a lot. How does that feedback on the content side get put into place? You've already mentioned that a little bit with the power curve and with evolutions and stuff, but like with specific promos, I know you can't mention like what's going to come out, but like I feel like we have less of those like team of the tournament type promos that we used to have. I've seen a couple people, actually I put out a bunch of tweets and Discord messages like, yo, give me some of your responses, and a lot of people are asking for more promo cards from other non-top 5 nations, because they can make Evos, but sometimes it just feels different to see your club and your league rewarded with a card in different ways. So how does the feedback of the community in terms of content continue to shape the promos and the campaigns that we get?
Yeah. Well, so I like to think that on the content side, we are sort of blessed in that we get to react to feedback like really quickly, right? Because like, you know, as we're working through and we're creating different campaigns, you know, sure, there's things that we plan out, you know, well in advance, quarters in advance, multiple months in advance, but we also have the ability to react like pretty darn quickly to things. That's why you'll sort of like see, you know, in like a 2-week campaign, for example, you'll see sort of like week 1 of the campaign perhaps doesn't go down quite as well as, you know, we would have hoped.
Yeah.
And there's like certain like smaller tweaks and changes that we can make in the second bit of the campaign. But we've got those like 3 like main feedback mechanisms. We've got the first, which is like
I would like to hope that 2-week, 3-week, 4-week, and as we're in footies now, 5-week campaigns just get abolished. 1 week is fine. Week on, week off. It used to be really scarce. There used to be Footmus, Team of the Year, Team of the Season, Team of the Week. And even then, that was like there used to just be Team of the Week and Team of the Season back in like FIFA 11 days, and it expanded from there. Then it used to be 1 promo a month. Like that was it. Like you'd get a promo for a week, and then you'd have 3 weeks of nothing. Not nothing per se, but it would be like, you know, that promo would live for a month in your club, and you'd still work to get those cards 2 or 3 or 4 weeks later, leading into the next promo a month later. Then it became every other week. Then it became every week. Then it became 2-week promos. Then it became like season-long promos. Like, I honestly think this game would do better to have significantly less promos that last for 1 week, and then let people spend time on the game trying to get the content, engage with the content, play with the content, and then prepare for the next promo 2 or 3 weeks later with some fun caveat stuff in between, like with tournaments and evolutions and SBCs. That can be the thing in between the like, oh, here's a boosted squad in packs for a week, right? Like, I hope that's where they're going.
Sort of, we've got different social listening tools and community managers and whatnot that allow us to sort of like monitor YouTube comments, Twitch, you know, X, Reddit, you know, whatever it is. And that helps us to sort of get like a volume of the actual feedback and how many people are talking about something and like what's generally speaking the tone of conversation about that thing. So you can say like, all right, like what is the reaction to this like SBC or this evolution or the seasonal ladder or the game mode rewards or whatever it is, right? And then you have the second mechanism, which is that feedback hub, right? That's where if people can kind of go in there and give us a little bit more detail about the actual content and then maybe provide some suggestions on how we could adjust it. We can then tie that back to sort of the data that we have about who that person is and sort of, you know, the context of like, how they play the game and sort of how they may shape their opinion. And then we got the third mechanism, which is the design council. And that's where we can go and say, all right, like we're hearing this thing from our players. We're seeing this thing in the FC feedback hub. Here's what we're proposing that we actually do about it. You know, what do you think, design council, right? And then we can have this sort of back and forth. So those are kind of like the 3 mechanisms. And then all those things kind of come together and we then go, okay, what are the things that we can do with the limited resources that we have to like create a good change for players as fast as we can. That's essentially, in a nutshell, the process. And of course, you've got like pretty much everybody on the content team has like these rituals that we have where we go through and like, all right, I wake up in the morning, I check on the FUT Weekly podcast, I do my like workout run. You know, I've got different YouTubers and Twitch streamers that I watch during lunch, and then people that I watch after work. And so everybody's got their sort of routines like that. So yeah,
maybe they're watching my content. Hey, listen, if you're watching my content right now, hey, I love you guys. Thanks, like, you know, just listen to me more. Bring me on. Engage with me. Also, guys, I've just checked myself in the camera about 3 times. My lighting must have changed this evening because I look pale right now, don't I? I'm looking at these guys here, and they look like tanned compared to me. So maybe I'll ask Viper to put a filter on this one. But yeah, I know that the EA, like all jokes aside, I know that the EA content team watch my content specifically. There's from time to time like a few little nods to things that I've spoken about or done over the years that come in the content. But also, like, every now and then I'll get a DM from somebody in the content team asking why I don't particularly like a piece of content or whatever. And it is a shame that I may be like a bit of a different case because my history goes long and deep with EA Sports and very rarely in a positive way. But it's a shame that if they do speak to content creators, it's a shame that it feels like they don't speak to content creators because we're in tune with our own community so deeply that we can give them like good feedback, right? But it's a shame that they either don't speak to content creators on that level, or if they do, it's kind of hidden and protected and behind closed doors. Like, take the people that are like connected with EA like intensely, maybe like, you know, the Foot Accountant, Bateson, Orzio, Like these content creators that have got really good connections and good relationships with EA that also have a huge audience, let them speak freely about their relationship with you. If they have a relationship with you, and if they don't, work on that. Tell them things. I know that you're scared that things might get leaked or they might manipulate the market or like get an edge for themselves. We're way beyond that. Like, we're way beyond that. The leak has already leaked everything before you guys even know what you're making in the game, right? It's been rumored that we already know all of the promos for FC26 and the leakers are just going to leak them in their own time or whatever. But if you told Bateson, for example, oh, hey man, like this thing's coming up. What do you think? How do you think people feel? You know, I don't think the first thing he's going to do is go, oh yeah, that'd be sweet, like love that, and then be like straight onto the web app buying up crap tons of players that he thinks are going to peak because of it. Like there is a lot more like there's a lot more integrity within the community members that have been in this community for a lot of years, to the point where you should now be able to trust them to have a conversation with them to get the best out of this game. Anyway, I digress. Let's carry on.
Into 26, I don't know if you want this at all. I gotta watch
Actually,
it.
yeah, fantastic. There's a lot of talking.
I have a little bit here, but I had another one. FC26, we're really excited for tournaments, especially with the announcement of that from the trailer.
Yes, we are.
Especially with the
Especially from the
knockout
leaks.
style that
Sure.
word was used in that trailer, because that brings us back to very fond memories of the DKT. Can you speak a little bit to what the tournaments will bring to Ultimate Team and how it'll maybe shape the way that we play weekly?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I'm glad we're talking about it. I'm super excited for tournaments. You know, going back to the daily knockout tournaments, the nostalgia hit is certainly strong. I think there's a couple things I want to mention about that. So the first is that when we think about sort of the menu of things that you do, if you will, in like any given week or any given season in Ultimate Team right now, a lot of time that you spend is in rivals and champions. That's a huge portion of your time. Then sure, some players choose to grind out squad battles. I'm not personally one of them, but some people choose to grind out squad battles. A bunch of players will engage in evos and they'll complete them in rush. And then you've got a bunch of players as well who are engaging in cups that we release on a weekly basis and that kind of thing. I think one of the changes that we're looking to make as we head into FC26 is that we're going to try and sort of actually, maybe one thing before I get into that is that another thing we heard from our players is that there's sort of this like feeling of like competitive burnout, right? Like the amount of
100%.
portion of your session.
Like, I hope that he's going where my mind thinks he's going, and it's going to be less champs, less rivals. Like, they've already tuned down the amount of champs games over the last few years from 40 down to 30, down to 20, now down to 15. But rivals, like, it's intense. The cups, they're either golden goal fests where nobody gives a damn because it's unlimited games, or sweat fests because there's a limit on games. And everything is so competitive. The draft is so beautiful because it's seeded, not skill-based. So if you're in the round of 16, you match against somebody in the round of 16. That is the only requirement. And then obviously, like, there's like a matchmaking based on your location, like region-based matchmaking or whatever. But it's like, look, if I'm in round of 16, I could face Tex, or I could face like Bob from 3 Doors Down, where it's like his first day on the game and he got a draft token for free, right? And then when you get to the second round, you're playing somebody that's just won the first round. Now, if you put the worst 2 players in the history of the game together and they manage to match in the first round, one of them will go through, which means the worst player in the game effectively is now in the second round of the game. And that's why sometimes on drafts, you can go and win the draft with rage quits after rage quits. Like, it's so easy. And you're like, oh, damn, what an experience that was for me personally. But then you can have experiences where you're like, oh my God, this guy's so good. Like, it's only round 2. Like, what a sweaty game. It's tough. And you feel good for getting through to the semi-final. But it's not the end of the world if you lose again, because you could just go again. Yes, okay, it costs 15,000 coins to enter or 300 FC points, but you can just go again. That is the beauty of tournaments or cups, is that it doesn't matter what round you lose in, you can go again. But if you lose in rivals, that's 20 minutes of your time where you've been super sweaty, super competitive, really intense for literally nothing. And if you lose in champs, you now can't hit a certain rank because you got too many losses. What a waste of time. Whereas in cups, it's like, yep, let's play. Damn, we got to the semi-final and lost. Let's do it again. I love it. And it's a much bigger mixed bag of opponents, to the point where you don't get that burnout of, oh God, every game is like the most intense thing I've ever done in my life.
actions, if you will, your time that you're playing. That is like white knuckle. Like I have to win. This is a really competitive match. And I'm like absolutely trying to maximize the squad that I have here, and I'm playing as meta as I possibly can. That can be kind of it can lead burnout, right? So
100%.
One of the things as we head into FC 26 that we're looking to do is sort of give players like time back, essentially, right? So
love that.
We want them to give time back in champions, which I don't know if you've talked about this with your folks on stream yet, but there's not going to be a champions playoffs anymore.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So you'll get the 5 matches back from champions playoffs, and then the second.
One match now, like you win, you forfeit the rest of them, go through. But I appreciate the outlook there.
Looking to decrease the total number of matches that it will take each week to get your Rivals Awards.
Love
it'll
that.
definitely be lower than what it was at FC.
I was talking there, so let's go here again.
But there's not going to be a Champions playoffs anymore.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
So you'll get the 5 matches back from Champions playoffs. And then the second piece is that we're looking to decrease the total number of matches that it will take each week to get your Rivals Awards. It'll definitely be lower than what it was at FC 25 launch. That was like, definitely heard your feedback there. Way too many matches at FC 25 launch.
Was it 45 points, was it?
But basically, we'll kind of take that down even compared
15
to
wins, it was crazy.
So the number of like weekly matches that it'll take on average, assuming that you're at like a reasonable division for your skill level, it'll take on average to get your Rivals Rewards, the upgraded Rivals Rewards will come down. And then what we're hoping that you can do sort of with that like extra time, if you will, that you have back, is we want you to like vary up the kinds of gameplay experiences that you're doing.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to sort of use like tournaments and live events and gauntlets sort of as like
Gauntlets, I haven't heard of that before.
Right? Like, right now, campaigns are the things that sort of like different, or campaigns, I think you guys kind of call them promos. We call it, it's an interesting thing, we call them campaigns internally, you guys call them promos.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like promos are sort of the ones that, are sort of the thing that sort of help differentiate, week to week, season to season, whatever it is,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And you've got sort of like the traditional piece of content, SBCs, objectives, and whatever, evolutions that sort of help like make that campaign what it is, and the squad release obviously is an important part of that too.
Yep.
We're hoping to use live events, we're hoping to use tournaments, we're hoping to use our gauntlet feature as like one of the things that is like the live content. That's
what is gauntlets?
This is the thing that differentiates this experience from another.
Hold on, I just need to have a little Google here, guys, because I have not heard FC 26 gauntlets. I've not heard of gauntlets from the leakers or anything. Yeah, there's nothing here. There's nothing showing up.
So like, when you think about tournaments, sure, I think you're going to have some of those like, quick hit sort of opportunities to kind of get in there, and maybe it's more akin to like a daily knockout kind of style thing.
Okay.
Exactly
Love
what it's
that.
like, who knows, and we're going to experiment with a bunch of stuff, and obviously we're going to be looking for feedback to go like, this was fun, this wasn't fun.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, one of the things that I am most excited about though, is that we have the ability to do what we call chained tournaments or chained events, right?
Okay.
So you can basically create something where the qualification requirement for a tournament is that you do something else, and that something else could be maybe you have done well in a previous tournament, or maybe you have achieved a certain division, or in division rivals, or got a certain number of wins in champions or whatever it is. So you can imagine a world where you could say like, all right, there's like a qualifying tournament for like an end of season, like super exciting tournament that's like, all right, like I qualified and now I have the opportunity to go and like play in this like end of season tournament, right?
Okay.
So you can imagine some of the possibilities there that could get quite fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, super excited for tournaments to come back. Want to give a little. That was probably more than we bargained for in terms of the answer. But want to give you a little bit of context.
That was great. I think that helps explain too for those who are maybe asking in the chat about like the way the content would go. If there's going to be maybe a less is more sort of approach to an extent.
Yeah.
If there's going to be gameplay content, and that's a part of the.
That's as long as gameplay is like balanced and fun, which this year it's had its ups and downs, but mostly it's downs. As long as gameplay is balanced and fun, which it looks like they've made a conscious effort to improve for FC 26, gameplay related content is key. We want to spend our time playing the game, not playing the menus. It's just not enjoyable. If they can get that right, guys, if like I'm getting waves of nostalgic feelings about how I used to play this game in FIFA 11, 12, 15, 18, to the point where it was fun to turn on the console, not a chore and obligation. If they can balance this right, and I know, maybe it's just the machine, maybe it's just the whole, oh, they've got you again, like, see you in 12 months when you're saying the same crap again. Maybe that's the case here, but this has me very, very excited. All right, let's continue. Let's continue.
Evolutions every day for content, like, okay, what live event do we have? Like, that's part of it too, to help the power curve not go as fast and to mix up the squads we're playing with. Did any of the feedback that the community gave about those leagues this year, like for the Mycon League, the Maldini, where it was a fixed number of games, and it was kind of like a tournament, but it was also kind of like a cup?
Yeah.
Is some of the feedback there? Did that help shape live events and tournaments?
100%, yeah, and you'll kind of see that come to life in sort of the way that we'll roll out some of these live events and tournaments. Is we definitely took the sort of the lessons, learnings, if you will, and feedback from players around like, hey, like people really like that, can you bring it back? And, yeah, so you'll definitely see that kind of thing come back.
Yeah.
This feels like way.
Golden goal cups, we really need that. Need XP.
I was going to say that felt way quicker. Like I've accidentally pushed it to 2x speed. Hold on.
26. You mentioned foot champs. There's two different levels of it now.
Yep.
There's champs and then there's challengers.
Yep.
For the reward side of things, last year we had a huge buff to rewards. A lot of coins. The market saw a huge boost of prices early on because of that, and the rewards all year were like I felt like playing Champs each week was maybe more worth it than my Rivals time because Rivals was more games, rewards, but Champs was like I know I only have to play 15, and I'm at least getting some pretty solid rewards. So how is that going to look with the power curve changes and with the structure changes in rewards inside of Champs in 26, basically? That's my curiosity.
No, it's a good question. I mean, obviously, so maybe we'll talk a little bit about challenges first, and then we'll kind of get into some of the reward pieces. So,
good stuff.
Obviously, one of the challenges that we have, one of the problem spaces is that playing high stakes, kind of competitive champion style matches for like good rewards in terms of like your ROI per like hour spent in the game is something that everybody wants to be able to do. That's a fun thing to do, but not everybody is like good enough to qualify or high skilled enough or spends enough time to qualify for champions finals, right? And so what we've essentially done in FC26 is we've created a second tier of champions, right? And we're calling that challengers. And the exact tuning of all this and how this is going to look, not 100% sure yet, but you're probably looking at somewhere in the ballpark of if you are above, at or above the division of 5 or 6, that you'll be able to qualify and earn champions qualification points through Rivals matches for the like main champions that's kind of coming back from.
So that's still through Rivals.
That's still through Rivals. Yeah, it's the same sort of like qualification mechanism, except once you earn the champions qualification points, you don't have to go through a champions playoffs to get into the finals. So that those 5 matches don't exist. You
Straight
just
there.
weekly champions qualification. Got it. But yeah, so basically we'll have that sort of like setup that's not too dissimilar. Like the pool of players is not going to be too dissimilar to what it was in FC25. Right. But then you'll have sort of a second event that's going to be hosted in the live events sort of like setup where that's called challengers. Where if you're in division either 6 to 10 or 7 to 10, as I said, kind of to confirm on the tuning there. And actually, it could be a number other than what I just said too. Just a complete disclaimer on the tuning and the division cutoff. I just want to throw it out there. Like basically that's going to be a lower skill sort of like play space for that same kind of archetype of competition, which is like high stakes, limited number of matches, good rewards for the time that you spend. But you're also probably looking at like the actual setup of that is going to have fewer matches than the actual Champions Finals events, which is likely going to stick around 15 this year. And so that'll be one thing where the sort of amount of engagement required, just because that group tends to not be one that the lower skill.
So
players,
probably like 5 or 7 games, whatever.
So we want to make it so that's kind of like tailored to that group a little bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's going to be really important, and again, this is going to be something we're going to look for feedback from the community on. Is making sure that we get sort of the balance right between challengers and champions. We want people to, if they can qualify for champions.
Yeah, the thing that you don't want is good players being like, guys, I'm just going to sit in Division 6 because I can go 7-0 or 8-0 in challenges and get rewards that far exceed me going like 11-4 or 10-5 in champions, right? You do not want people sandbagging. It's a problem that EA have had since they introduced the new Rivals and Division system back in like 2016 or whatever, 2017. And since they introduced champs in general as well, it's a big problem they've had is people sandbagging and creating like a really like bad gaming experience from top to bottom. It causes all sorts of issues to the point even now where because Division 2 rewards right now are so good compared to Elite rewards, people just sit in Division 2. Division 2 is, I would swear by this, unless you're at the absolute high, like, top end of the Elite Division where your skill rating is like 950 to 1000 plus. Division 2 is the hardest place on the game because the rewards are like 95% of what you get in Elite. And you see it impacts people across the board because, first of all, people that are actually Division 2 level are getting smashed every other game by people who are Elite level players. But people who are Elite level players that are in the Elite Division are struggling to find a game because no one is there. And so it causes problems across the board. And if they get this challengers and champions balance wrong to the point where you have better value for your time, like Jamie said before, every hour you spend on the game, you get like a value out of that hour. If your value is better spent in challengers, what a horrible experience that is going to be for everyone. Again,
they should be going for champions, right? You don't want challengers to be the spot where you can it makes sense for you to smurf down or sort of intentionally lower your division, relegate yourself in divisions.
Okay, good. They're aware of it. That's good.
That is going to be one that we're going to spend a lot of time trying to make sure that we get right. And obviously, looking for community feedback on if and when we get it right. So that's one. I kind of forgot the first part of your question, so if you could just repeat it again.
It was more so about the rewards.
Oh, okay.
Like either challengers versus champs or just champs rewards in general in this year after they got such a big buff last year. They can't go up even more, right?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I think just relatively speaking,
good call.
Want to make sure I can keep seeing the chat. The streamer instincts are still there. So just generally speaking, kind of harping back to what we were saying around the to make sure that we can slow down the power curve, to make sure that we can maintain sort of the same level of accessibility for different cohorts of players. You will see that compared to last year, that the launch champions rewards will look worse in terms of the actual rewards, the coins you get, etc.
Well, I mean, they've been boosted throughout the year anyway. That makes sense.
take down the accessibility of the content for one group compared to another. We want them all to sort of like move in tandem, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, we're hoping to do that to slow down the curve.
Yeah. But then again, like you're taking away those rewards, but then you have the live events and tournaments that are also gonna, I would presume, have some type of rewards, right?
Of course.
So that would be a little bit of a replacement, and kind of like you said with the time, trying to change your time from just being in champs and rivals to spread it out and play different game modes.
That's actually a really good point. I want to like double click on that. So basically, like as we were kind of saying, you're taking the content for one group compared to another. We want them all to sort of like move in.
I want to listen to that again.
But yeah, as I said, we're hoping to do that to slow down the curve.
Yeah. But then again, like you're taking away those rewards, but then you have the live events and tournaments that are also gonna, I would presume, have some type of rewards, right?
Of course.
So that would be a little bit of a replacement, and kind of like you said with the time, trying to change your time from just being in champs and rivals to spread it out and play different game modes.
That's actually a really good point. I want to like double click on that. So basically, like as we were kind of saying, there's no more playoffs, and there's no more like we're going to decrease the amount of time that you spend in rivals.
Rivals.
And so like calibrated to the amount of time that you'll spend in those modes now, we're also going to take down the rewards in those spaces. But basically, what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, well, you're not.
Just on the note of like champs and challengers, before we carry on here, let me go back a few seconds as well. If they like bring down the rewards, which makes sense, right? Obviously the rewards get scaled up as the game cycle goes anyway, and they want to bring everything down so that it prolongs the campaign. Is champs about to become even sweatier because the casuals are in challengers? Are we going to start seeing people genuinely struggling to hit rank 1? Is rank 3 going to become like the safe haven for competitive players and pros? Is rank 5, you know, for me right now, I can consistently hit 11 or more wins. I've not hit 13 once yet this year, but 11 is kind of like my wheelhouse. Are we looking at next year being like maybe 8 is the play? Maybe like just going positive is going to be like a blessing. Like, how is that going to impact the experience?
Right. And so, like, calibrated to the amount of time that you'll spend in those modes now, we're also going to take down the rewards in those spaces. But basically, what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, well, you're not spending as much time over here. You're going to spend more time in Gauntlet and in Challenge. Or
what is Gauntlet?
And in tournaments.
What is
so
that?
That's where you can get some of those rewards.
They're talking about Gauntlet. They've talked to each other before about what Gauntlet is. Let me go and look again at the leakers and see if they've announced or spoken on Gauntlet, because I don't think they have. I'm just having a brief look here. It's all just about like, what's Gauntlet?
I think the live events intrigued me the most because what I enjoyed about some of those cups and leagues was the specific squad requirements that were not super restrictive, and I kind of hope that they're more restrictive in 26 for some of those tournaments. Like a lot of people have mentioned like bronze or silver tournaments. Like I know you can't say anything about that, but I hope that's a part of the whole tournament scheme, and just being able to use different players and making your club more important than just your main squad. So
Perfect.
Evolutions a little bit. Looking forward to 26. I know a lot of people have been asking to Evo goalkeepers for a long time. You may not be able to confirm or deny that, but how can evolutions look different in 26 compared to 25 from right now? What can you share about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of exciting things in that space. Obviously, like we will have goalkeeper evolutions.
Love that.
So that's super exciting.
Goalkeeper evos are coming, guys. Love that.
In that space too, around sort of repeatable evolutions as well is going to be something that's coming back. So basically, the ability for us to do.
We saw repeatable evolutions in the FC26 deep dive, gameplay deep dive. It was like one of the things right at the very end that we will be getting repeatable evolutions. So I'm interested to see what he has to say here.
Evolutions that you can, kind of similar to SBCs, where you can like do it a limited number of times or a repeatable number of times, or you can do it 3 times every 24 hours.
Makes sense.
It is. That's something that's kind of going to be there in FC26.
And because they're scaling everything down as well, I presume that's the same with Evos. And so all of a sudden, like, it just makes way more sense, right? Because like, let's say an evolution literally just gives like +4 finishing, and that's it. If that came out by itself, people would be like, what the hell is this crap? However, if it came out and it was repeatable like once a day for 5 days, and you know it had like a stat limit of like 90 finishing, or even in the early stages like 88 finishing, you could all of a sudden go and take a player like, I don't know, Gabriel Jesus, who's got like 82 finishing, and be like, right, nice, I can run him through this today and boost him from 82 to 86 finishing, and then run him through it tomorrow and boost him from 86 to 90 finishing, or to 88 finishing, and I will get +6 finishing on my Jesus over 2 days. Perfect. That makes sense. Again, it allows you to kind of like improve players that you want to over time, repeatable, less restrictions, and it with the power curve being like kind of like plateaued at least anyway, like at the start and whatnot, it gives value to things over time rather than things in the moment, and I think that's important.
Yes, that's kind of similar to what we were just looking at, like 2 versions of the same Evo. One's free, one's paid, but a little bit different, but also a little bit the same, because we haven't been able to do too many Evos multiple times this year, like these more recent ones have.
Yeah.
Really really quickly too, I guess, I know we haven't talked a lot about gameplay, but I heard some of the gameplay guys mention that they make a lot of people play the game in testing so that they can just get a lot of feedback on it.
Yeah.
So like, speaking of gameplay a little bit, what from the announcement today were you the most interested in, and what part of FC26 gameplay like took you by surprise the most, I guess?
Yeah.
Or what excites you the most?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so I just for context for the chat, I'm like a pretty hardcore gameplay person. Like I play quite a bit. I like to think that I'm reasonably good at the game. You know, I clock somewhere in the ballpark of like 500 to 1,000 matches a year, and can most of the time get myself into like decent finishes and champions.
You're talking like 11 wins, 12 wins?
Like pretty consistently 12.
Okay.
My best this year was 13.
Nice.
Sorry, I said consistently 12. Consistently 11. I don't oversell myself. Consistently 11. 13 was my best.
Yeah. Awesome.
Anyway, humble brag aside.
Maybe they can play the
so
game,
with that
guys.
in mind,
Maybe they can.
to be saying that is, like,
Do you know what's bad as well? The fact that he gets 11 to 13 wins, he knows what's wrong with this game. And this is what I try to say to people a lot as well. They are aware. They are always just handcuffed by people way up the chain. Do you know how many times, if he's playing to 13 wins or 11 wins consistently, do you know how many times Jamie has lost to a green time Trivella from 45 yards or to a guy that has abused a speed boost? And do you think he's sitting there going, oh, guys, this is great. This is exactly. No, he's sitting there going, what the hell is this crap? Guys, we need to address this. But there is a chain of command and there is a long process to do something as simple as fix Trivellas. And although we get frustrated in the moment, we do have to recognize and realize that these guys love the game. They want to give you the best experience. They really do.
Like my framing is that I tend to be a pretty like core, like kind of competitive online head-to-heads kind of like focused player. And so with that in mind, you know, one of the challenges that we've had for a long time on FC and FIFA's of past is trying to balance the experience for the very wide group of players that play this game. So you know, obviously, and to some extent, I'm speaking on behalf of the gameplay crew here. They probably do a better job expressing this, but like you know, some of the challenges that we have is that you've got on one side of things, you have like career mode players or perhaps kickoff players or players that generally speaking like value the authenticity and sort of want like a more football.
That's why we've got the
type
new
experience.
authenticity versus competitive mode, right?
See, you know, on match days, right? But on the other side of that, you've got the folks that are sort of more hardcore online competitive head-to-head, you know, kind of the foot champions, the rivals folks that they want a game that feels really responsive, you know, has outcomes that are more predictable, and you know, it's just generally tailored for that online experience. And sort of the challenge that we've had in the past is trying to tune for both of those audiences. It's really hard, right? Because when you make one change where you say, all right, we're going to increase the rate at which you can turn, like when you're trying to turn 180 degrees, or you know, the rate and accuracy of passes if you're trying to ask a player to do a complicated pass where it's coming in and they're doing like a 90-degree pass, sort of in the opposite direction. You know, that if you do that for like the folks over in the competitive side of things and an ultimate team or sort of like online head-to-head or clubs, that may make that audience happy. But then you've got the folks on the other side of things and sort of like career who go like, well, that doesn't, no one can actually do that in real life, so why are we kind of shooting it that way? So right, so it's
makes sense.
This balance between like a more arcadey kind of kind of competitive balance as well as the sort of more authentic kind of setup. But anyway, that's a very long-winded sort of context way of saying that I'm really excited for a world where our gameplay team now is going to be empowered to essentially set up different tuning for each of those kind of like skews of gameplay. Right? And
I know I said that we shouldn't do this way earlier in this video. Why has it taken so long for this to happen? It is such an obvious thing. Different gameplay for clubs, different gameplay for Ultimate Team, different gameplay for head-to-head seasons, different gameplay for career mode. It makes sense. Why? Genuinely, why has it taken so long to get there?
And we're going to be able to more sort of in a tailored way address the feedback of players as that kind of comes out. Like I'll say, like as I'm just kind of playing the game, some of the things that really stick out to me. Dribbling feels like pretty significantly elevated this year, sort of in the build that we've got. Skill moves feel a heck of a lot better. Someone that does like create a lot of their chances through dribbling and skill moves, that feels a lot better to me. The passing feels really crisp. Now, obviously, we're playing in kickoff and we're sort of in what is what we kind of colloquially both internally and externally refer to as like the honeymoon phase, right? So we're confident that there's going to be things that we're going to have to adjust, and we're not going to get the tuning 100%.
And this is why there should be an open beta. Almost every game, everywhere, always does it. An open beta. If EA put out an open beta for one weekend and gave foot champs there in the open beta and gave people like just the access to every gold player, let people build their squads, play a champs run, and where you finish in champs, you will get that rewards when you first join like FC26 in reality. Like, okay, you go and play the open beta, guys. If you get rank 1, you'll get those rewards straight away when you enter into FC26 for the first time. Or if you win rank, they don't have to be like the top rewards, but let's say you finish rank 1, it's like 25,000 coins and like an 83/10 or something, right? Tradable, and like you'll get that if you finish like rank 5. People will find insanely quickly those problems that you because you're in the honeymoon phase, you haven't figured out yet. They will find them in a heartbeat. That is the whole point of an open beta. It is to say to people, hey, here's what we've got. Debug it for us. Figure out what the hell is wrong. And it has always blown my mind that they do a closed beta that is invite only almost. Like, it doesn't make sense. You're not figuring out anything from that. You're just kind of like building the hype train, but you're not learning about what's wrong with the game. One weekend league open beta for like in 3 or 4 weeks from now, I promise you, people will tell you exactly what is wrong with this game.
You know, from the rip, especially of something that is, you know, such a bold change for us in terms of like, hey, we're gonna make 2 different gameplays, right?
True.
So, you know, I'm sure that folks are gonna be, you know, continuing to, you know, on the gameplay side of things, are gonna be continuing to look for feedback from folks across the year, just in the same sort of mechanisms that I was talking about earlier, across those 3 different, you know, sort of mechanisms and getting feedback to make sure we're in a good spot. But yeah, that foundation is something I'm really excited for.
Yeah, mentioning the feedback stuff, I've talked about the feedback portal a lot over the past year and a half or so that it's been out and available, and I think I keep mentioning it too because a lot of people have had success with it, especially in like the trading community when, you know, they get like a market ban for something and it seems really random. Like they didn't actually do anything wrong, but something tripped the system and they got market banned. Like they get that resolved pretty quick. But other than that too, I think I just want to reiterate it because a lot of you guys have been saying it here and even on like the socials, like the changes in the game that we want to see are what are being prioritized, like all of the talk about the input delay and the responsiveness and stuff. Like it's one thing to say it, but then like you're actually like doing it too. So I think I just think we as a community have to continue to keep giving the feedback. If we're happy and unhappy, it's very easy to give unhappy feedback.
100%.
Changed, and it's less easy to give like the oh, this is great, let me take my time and say.
And do you know what? That's something that I've like really tuned into this year is really trying to give EA credit when something is good. For example, the Choose Your Adventure Evos last week, the 1, 2, and 3, a paid one that's expensive, no games to complete it, halfway through, a fair few games and a free one. Like, that's great. What I personally have found is that when we have bad gameplay or bad experiences, and so we say bad things about the game, it feels like it falls on deaf ears. That's obviously not true because, you know, this whole FC26 kind of like feed here is about, oh, hey, like we're listening, we're going to give you what you want sort of thing. However, it's the same when something is good. When we genuinely, thoroughly enjoy something and we're speaking positively about it, like, oh my God, that SBC was insane, or that, you know, the Evo that you released was great, or the cup that was released was fantastic, or the upgrade in rewards was brilliant. That also feels like it falls on deaf ears, and that's a big problem. When we actually like, oh my God, this content is so engaging, we actually like it, and then we never see it again, it's like, well, why? Why? What's the point of saying anything when we don't feel like the it's heard? And I know, like, we've had community managers with from EA over the years, and you know, community managers like Corey had a real hard time because the community just went at him constantly, and you get those toxic trolls and those rage baiters online that go out of their way to be a nuisance and to be a pain in the butt and just cause havoc for people. But the EA community, the EA Direct Communications Twitter account should be used for things like this and just shut off replies. You can do that now on X. Just tweet out like, hey guys, we saw that you really loved this thing here, you know, this Evo path, the Choose Your Own Adventure Evo. We like, feel free to let us know more about your experience with it. That's it. Let us know, like, or similarly, hey guys, we hear the fact that you don't want to be getting 35 points in Rivals in July, nearly August. Stay tuned because something's coming. That's it. Like, don't turn replies off. Don't let people talk back to you. Just tell them. It goes, I said this earlier, it goes a long way with the hardcore community just letting us know that we are heard. Whether or not it is good or bad, it goes a long way, I promise you.
But I think both are still crucial as long as we're continuing to use the portal. Like, you guys that are in the streams, commenting on the videos and tweets and stuff, like, they use those tools to listen in and get our feedback. Like, I think we have to make sure we as a community keep talking too, and not just saying, not for me, this sucks, I'm out. Like, because then it'll just become better. Yeah.
The phrase that we keep using is co-create. Like, we want to co-create this game with you guys, right? Like, you guys are as much a part of sort of the development process as perhaps we are sort of in Vancouver as we're kind of developing the game and across the studios across the rest of the world. And I think one of the things I want to mention in this space is that it's one thing for us to kind of come out and say like, hey, we've created this really, you know, nice looking trailer that talks about feedback and all these different things. And sure, like, we hope what is coming through some of the features that we've put out so far, or we've talked about so far in FC26, is that we are trying to listen to players and action on that feedback more. But like, what I want you guys to sort of hold us accountable for is that, like, we got to sort of like put our money where our mouth is, if you will. Money is.
Guys, I said this on the gameplay trailer, not the deep dive. I have been in this industry and in this community for an extremely long time. I have never, ever, ever seen EA release something like that is going to be pushed out to millions and millions of casual gamers that would be like, wait, what do you mean? Like, what if, like, I didn't know there was input delay. I didn't know that these, like, I didn't know tacklebacks were a problem, because they don't have a problem. This is like genuinely groundbreaking from EA to effectively be holding their hands up and say, we are going to really try to fix the things that you are having problems with. And so they have to be confident to get it right, because if they get it wrong, it genuinely could be decisive in where this franchise goes over the next 3 to 5 years. If they get it right, FC 26, 27, 28 and beyond can flourish and thrive. If they get it wrong and it's still an unbalanced mess of a game that is unenjoyable to play at length, it could genuinely spell the beginning of the end. And I've never seen them be so vulnerable and put themselves in a position where they say things like, hey, hold us accountable. Like, we want you to experience what we're saying we're doing, and if we don't do that, let us, like, hold us accountable for that. This is insane from EA Sports. I don't think people really can understand the gravity of the pressure they're putting on themselves to succeed at a stock level. Hey, the game right now, EA Sports stocks, or EA. The game right now today, or Electronic Arts stocks, is $157 for a stock right now. Honestly, if Ultimate Team crashes and burns, that crashes and burns. It goes down under $100. Like, they lose like 35% of their market value, like literally overnight, at least. They are putting so much pressure on themselves to succeed. It's insane.
Isn't the right word, but like our actions, feedback, and live content changes and all sorts of things where our mouth is, if you will, right? Weird analogy, but basically what I'm trying to say is, like, it's all well and good for us to kind of say this, and like obviously the feature set that we have,
absolutely,
is resonating with folks in terms of us delivering on that feedback. But we've got to continue to deliver on that, and that's something that I'm hoping that we can kind of hold ourselves to throughout the course of this year.
Awesome. All right, let's do a couple, just for the last couple minutes of the stream, just a couple of chat questions, and some of these you may not be able to answer entirely, and that's fine. Just give me like I can't speak anymore on that. Sure. But our storage. Oh, a lot of people have mentioned that, especially at this later stage of the year, an increased size of SBC storage would be pretty nice. Because, of course, I know it's maybe tailored towards the end of the year, like I mentioned about the SBC bans, because the packs are endless, and that's just the main draw and the most fun part of the game right now. But is that something that would potentially be in the cards based on feedback, like possible?
It's certainly something we could consider. There's no plans to change that for launch of 26. Yeah, still planning to come out with 100 as the limit for that storage, but certainly something that we can keep an eye on. I think like one of the things that we expect to see this year is that one of the things we saw in 25 rather was that, especially around, I think it was like end of team of the season, maybe through team of the season as well, and kind of into shapeshifters and that kind of that period, is that like the price of fodder like plummeted, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And that was like one really obvious
through the floor.
Like kind of what was happening behind the scenes, that players had like just maxed out duplicate storages because of like, well, what do I do with like all of this stuff? What do I do with all these like higher rated items? So there's a couple different ways we're trying to solve that. Like, one will be making some tweaks and changes to sort of our SBC strategy and sort of like trying to find better ways to sort of give good places that feel good to kind of turn in that SBC fodder. Yeah. But
I also think if they've spoken about like generally regressing the game in terms of reward sense, it won't make much of a difference if you just don't have so much fodder. Like, if it's just harder to get things in general, you won't fill up that duplicate storage so quick. So, like, maybe it's kind of a moot point.
The other piece is that kind of what I was mentioning before. Part of the reason that we want to sort of like make those adjustments that we're talking about to rewards is so that you don't get this content that ends up not being valuable. Yeah, right. Like if we sort of like oversaturate the ecosystem with like too many 88s, for example, then the next time that you pack an 88, it's not gonna be worth anything, right? And that doesn't feel good. That's not fun. That's not fun for anybody. So that's kind of like not a direct answer to like the the actual duplicate storage piece, but like you could expect. Our hope would be that if we get that right, that you will have less of a need to like ask us for like an increased duplicate storage, because you won't have useless fodder collecting dust in your duplicate storage anyway.
Fair. I think that's a great key point you touched on there too about packing cards and making them feel worthwhile. Yeah. Even if it's just an 88 or an 89 rated, like knowing when you open your rewards that if you hit one of those, you're like, hey, I'm getting 10K or I'm getting some coins here for this from a tradable pack. Yeah. So I think the mix of the packs and the SBCs changing hopefully will alleviate some of that pressure the market saw this year and some of that.
Right.
So,
awesome.
How about 0-0 quits?
Yeah, a good question. So I mean, you would have seen.
So I saw already one of the leakers kind of tweet about this, and I didn't understand why, and I saw actually a clip of this. A leaker spoke about it, and then I saw like a clip here. I don't understand why if somebody that quits on you in the first half don't get the win, right? I don't know why it's like the second half only, and or if there's a red card, but it's explained really well here, and it kind of gives you like a little insight into EA's kind of issue here
in FC25 that we released sort of like it's called like the first phase of us really trying to go after this one. We've seen this feedback for ages, and I'm happy that we're like finally starting to get some real change in this space.
That is nice.
It's still not perfect. We're continuing to try and make it better, but basically, as I said, FC25 we had the change where if somebody given like the right conditions, so it had to be like a red card, the penalty kick, past the 45th minute, etc. If somebody quit through the menu, so they pause the game, they scroll down, they quit, then you would get the win if it was in a draw state, right?
I think even if it's not in a draw state, I think even if it's in a state where you're losing, you still get the win.
We're adding in 26 is now it's not just menu quit, it's any kind of quit or disconnect, right? So you could
Which is perfect. So now if somebody dashboards, you'll get it. Like and that is a really nice like upgrade from it.
Console, you can turn off your router, you could I don't know, DDoS somebody, whatever, right? Like, actually, DDoS wouldn't count. No. Anyway, they have to initiate quit. Anyway, but if basically any way of quitting is now something we believe is something that we're going to pick up and be able to give you as a win, right? It's still set up such that like the actual conditions aren't exactly where we want them to be, and we'll give more details about what that is. But like, again, phase process, we know what the end state is. We want to be able to get to that end state.
And that's part of the clip that I saw where I was like, it's really interesting. It is really interesting because they know what they want as the end goal, and the end goal they want is for if somebody quits on you, you get the win. It's really interesting from the outsider's point of view, or from the consumer's point of view, like you or like I. It's really interesting as to why we can't just have that. Like I don't understand, genuinely don't understand why we can't just have that. Obviously, you will have bad actors, you will have people that try and manipulate the system and gain an advantage by booting people off or whatever. But it just blows me away why it's something they have to phase in rather than something they can just add in. It's really interesting.
But we just have to make sure that we balance for like sort of the bad actors, right? Like sort of folks that could exploit that system. I do think we'll get there eventually, but you'll hear more about that as we talk about it.
Speaking of bad actors, a lot of people are wondering about PC. And of course, this year, there was a lot of conversation of PC crossplay with Xbox and PlayStation. Can you confirm or deny if that's going to be still a thing going forward, or are they going to be separate this year, kind of like previous years on PC?
Yeah, so I mean, the transfer markets will still be separate, right? So,
separate. Right. Yeah.
So you're still going to have a PC-specific transfer market, and you'll have sort of a console, if you will, specific transfer market. And like in terms of like, things that we're going to try and do to try and go after that, that's probably not something that I have the right expertise to kind of really dig into. So I would leave that to our folks on the security team. But like, rest assured that like, we see the feedback, we feel it ourselves. It's really annoying when you come up against a cheater, and there's people working on that and trying to make that better.
Okay.
Perfect. And again, just communicate it, man.
Will season passes be spread out a little more across the season for progressing? Can there be a system where SP earned past the last level is still rewarding? So like you get to level 40 in a season.
Great question.
Maybe a week left. Is there any other?
For last season, I don't know if people have reached it so far this season. I think EA have done a good job of kind of like longing out the gaining SP process. But last season, the season came out on the Thursday. By the next Thursday of a 5-week season, people had already completed the season pass. It was pointless. It was pointless because at that point, everything you do now for SP is pointless. It's so easy to implement something where you gain value beyond collecting the 100% SP. Let's see what he has to say.
Content plans or anything you know of that would give you a little bit of rewards after you max out a season pass.
Yeah.
Not anything huge, but like something.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, it's not something that like I know of any concrete plans for launch of FC 26, but like have heard that feedback, see that feedback. Like you can imagine a world where perhaps, and I'm just kind of like spitballing here, but like there's probably things that we could do to kind of say like, hey, like, every X amount of SP that you earn beyond a certain level could be something that could give you some sort of reward, or maybe you could have it so that the actual items that you earn in the season pass could be taken into like a live event, and, the requirements for the live event or something like that. I don't know. As I said, I'm just kind of spitballing.
Sure.
As I said, there's nothing planned for launch of FC 26, but hear that feedback.
Okay. I've seen a couple questions about draft as well. Is there anything you can confirm or deny about foot draft, the longest standing mode that hasn't had a big update like a lot of the rest of the modes have?
Yeah. It seems like you're like hostage questioning of confirm or deny.
I know, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, so like I think there's we believe a lot in draft. We think it's a really fun experience.
Guys, some of you won't know, the draft is my favorite mode within Ultimate Team. Clubs is my favorite mode within FC, even though I haven't played it this year, because it just doesn't translate well for viewership. But draft is my favorite mode in Ultimate Team. I have had some of my genuine best memories of playing this video game in the draft mode. I love the draft mode. I love what it is about. I love the fact that it gives the opportunity for people that can't afford to have the best cards, the ability to play with the best cards. I love the fact that it rewards skill. I love the fact that it's seeded matchmaking, not skill-based matchmaking. I love the fact that, like, what I used to do for Team of the Year about 4 years ago, before, like, saving packs was really, really easy through, like, League SBCs and stuff, I would spend 2 or 3 weeks prior to Team of the Year grinding draft and saving my packs. And then when Team of the Year came and I actually packed an N'Golo Kante Team of the Year in, like, 2019 from a 100k pack that I got, that I saved from playing draft as a tradable card that was worth like 2.5 million coins. My best ever pack pull in terms of like value in the moment was from a draft where I won the final. I got a 50k pack and a 5k pack for winning the final. I opened that 50k pack up and Rude Hullet was in there, 93 rated card that was worth 6 million coins on a road to glory. The draft mode has bundles of potential. I genuinely think it's a mode within the game that people can feel like is a safe haven, where it's rewarding, it's engaging, it's fun, and if they can, like, I don't know what he's about to say here, but if they can get it right, what he said there, like, he believes draft. Like, let me just listen to what he said again there.
Confirm or deny.
I know, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, so like I think there's we believe a lot in draft. We think it's a really
They believe a lot in draft. Then do something with it, man. Just anything.
fun experience. I think while there's no major plans for like big
Oh,
overhauls of the actual
never mind
functionality
then.
of draft and like how that works in FC 26 so far, what you can expect is some adjustments that we'll make to the actual rewards throughout the lifecycle. So the rewards at launch are going to be like essentially very similar to what they were in FC 25, but you can expect us to
Very
give a
similar.
little bit
That
more
means the
love
same.
to the rewards post launch.
Okay. I'll do one more question because we're about out of time, but I think this one's good. It's about the season pass as well. Will there be ways to, like, let's say you complete the first season pass, and like in Call of Duty and Fortnite, you can, at the end, redeem a token that unlocks the next one for you. Is that going to be something that we could see in the season passes this year, 26?
Okay. Yeah, good question. So no plans for any mechanisms like that would like directly give you like, okay, I've earned a thing, and now I can like take that thing, and it's like my entitlement to the next pass. But like you do have obviously like kind of our soft way of doing that, if you will, is that you've got some of the tradable content in there, right? And through that tradable content, you can take the content, you can quick sell it, you can sell it on the transfer market, you can get some coins, and you can kind of like fund partially the next pass. So that's like one way of like kind of getting there. But
I think the difference between something like Fortnite is you have to buy the Fortnite pass with V-Bucks. So once you buy that initial pass with V-Bucks and it gives you V-Bucks back, their like hook is earn the V-Bucks periodically throughout the season pass, and they will entice you to spend those in the store before you collect enough to get the season pass again, to the point where you're like, oh, I'll just buy the season pass again because I've spent my V-Bucks, right? With Ultimate Team, yes, you could spend FC points on it to unlock it, but you can also use coins, and you get coins from playing the game, from rewards, from tradable packs, from the content that you engage with. So I don't think you need to have to get the 1,000 FC points back. Like it's just a bit of a different world, like in Ultimate Team compared to like your COD pass or your kind of like Fortnite pass.
Yeah, I do remember that even when the first paid pass was released, like that was the point of the tradable packs, was to help you recoup some of that cost that you were originally putting forward for that. So that totally makes sense. All right. Well, I think we've used up our time. That was a blast. Thank you for answering all those questions. I know that was a lot of talking, but I think the chat is excited to at least see you back on the stream. Like, we haven't seen Foot Economist in a long time.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I felt some of the like OG streamer instincts coming into play. Like I always want to look at chat.
Yep. You said value proposition too. I think that was very common terminology back in the streaming days.
No, it was fun. I appreciate you guys sort of welcoming me back. Thanks for having me on. This was a ton of fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's cool. Bring on 26.
Bring it on. All right, lads. So I think that's going to be the stream for us today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. I know I missed a bunch of.
And so there we go, guys. I mean, thank you to Foot Accountant for giving this to us, and to the Foot Economist as well for being so open in his responses. I said this earlier in the video, like, I personally am so certain, and I might be wrong. Listen, I might be wrong, right? I'm very often wrong on things. But I'm so certain that if this kind of like really honest conversation was had more commonly, like for example, if the Foot Economist would have a monthly or bi-monthly hour-long chat with the Foot Accountant where they just talked about what's going on in the game. Like, oh, hey, like, if Foot Accounting would be like, oh, you know, like, since we spoke last time, like, you know, headers are, like, so strong. It's the only way people are scoring right now. Like talk to us about that. And economists could just be like, yeah, like, it's something we've seen in the background. Here's what, like, we're kind of trying to do to remedy it or to fix it, or, like, here's our situation with it. I genuinely think that sort of thing would go so far with the community. And just so, like I say, like, you'll still have your kind of, like, morons that would be like, oh, it doesn't matter what they say, they're terrible. Like, just these people that just want to watch the world burn, they will be there no matter what. But there's a lot of people in this community that love this game and love this product and love the creators and really want to engage in a positive way, that would feel so validated to just have someone say, yeah, we know Travellas are, like, really overpowered and really strong. Like, we're trying to find the best way to remedy that without kind of, like, disrupting other areas of the game. Here's the situation. People will be like, okay, so Travellas are still broken, but at least I know EA know now. At least I know that they're sitting there going, yeah, we're aware that they're broken, rather than sitting there going, oh, damn, Travellas have been broken for like 9 months. How do EA not know this? Do they not play their own game? And they do. And I think something I said years and years and years ago about, like, this game, when EA had to kind of, like, close down their community managers' Twitters and introduce the what was it called, the FC community, hold on, I'm going to get the exact thing, the EA Sports Direct communication account. Does it tell you when that account was created? Yeah, 2019, so 6 years ago, EA created this account to communicate with people, and they don't. And communication is so valuable in a community that is so hardcore that the ripples eventually get to everybody else. And that feels like it doesn't feel like a desperate time for EA right now. It doesn't feel like they're like, oh my god, guys, like, you know, our numbers are down, not selling as many packs, like, things are going bad, tell us how to fix it, please. It doesn't feel like it's there at the moment, but it feels like it's at a point where it's like, okay, we've seen that things aren't trending well, we need to fix this before it becomes a problem, so we're trying to listen to you. Like, how do we go about it, sort of thing. And it feels like it's kind of like the car, like, not the calm before the storm, but it feels like it's like they're trying to kind of, like, level the field before it becomes a problem. They're being proactive, and I really appreciate that, and I really like the fact that they're being proactive about these problems. And so, first of all, we as a community have to say, okay, thank you, EA. Like let's hold you accountable. Let's see what you can actually do with what you're saying you can actually do. But also, keep this up. I have not seen this much positivity around a trailer, a gameplay deep dive, and like, this conversation here. I have not seen this much positivity genuinely since, like, FIFA 14 and FIFA 13, when this sort of thing was really new, with the kind of, like, EA/community, like, combining and co-creating content. It has been a decade since this level of excitement has hit the people, and that will translate to your general public. Because if your core community, if your hardcore community stop making content, stop getting views because the content sucks, like, complain about the game and make the kind of content is, like, not rage baiting per se, but that kind of, like, state of the game negative style content. If all everyone is doing is making content about how bad the game is, or about how broken the game is, or about how overpowered mechanics in the games are, eventually that translates to the core community, where they're like, oh, that game's just a bad game, I just don't play it anymore. Oh yeah, like, I stopped playing FIFA a few years ago. I saw this thing on TikTok where the only way to score goals is from, like, 45-yard finesse shots. So I was like, yeah, it's not really a football game, I don't really want to play it. And eventually it will get there. And so I like the fact they're being proactive about trying to turn the wheel around, turn the boat around, like, to go back in a positive direction. But I honestly just believe it needs more of this. Like, not necessarily with Foot Accountant and not necessarily with Foot Economist, but it needs more of this, where EA, even if they use their direct communication tool on X to just talk to people, it goes a long way. That is going to be it for me for now, guys. As always, thank you for watching the video. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like, rating, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I am getting really, really excited for FC26. I'm really hopeful that it's going to be a game that I fall back in love with the franchise for the sake of playing the game again, rather than the sake of having to make content on the game because it's what I do. I want to love this game again, and that has been missing for a few years. Only a few years, but it has been missing for a few years. And so, yeah, let's hope for bright things for FC26. And I will see you in the next video. For now, I'm out. Peace.